Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this month's second webinar in our webinar series. Today's topic is reducing and managing workplace injuries. And our host today is having some technical difficulty on one side. So I'm going to try to present Diana's part. I'm familiar with what she has here in the webinar, so I think we're in good hands. And Ben Abdullah is also with us, and I know we're in great hands there. So the good thing about today's webinar is we do provide the PowerPoint. You do want it, so you'll hear about that at the end of today's presentation. So Diana Martin, you may have worked with. She's an accredited claims adjuster, all lines, and a workers' comp examiner. She's been with us since 2016 in our risk solutions department. She coordinates the workers' comp claims, and if you've had a claim, I know you've worked with her and seen how wonderful she is to guide you through all that. She does bring 12 years of claims management experience, and she's a licensed claim adjuster. That brings her quite a bit of experience in workers' comp claims, general liability, as well as auto liability. And Ben has been with us since 2010. He's CPCR OSHA 500. He's our safety and loss control coordinator. He coordinates, just like it sounds, our safety and loss control services, and there are many services built in there. If you've worked with Ben, you know he's a real stand-up guy and very helpful. He's seasoned. He started working apparently when he was 2 or 3. He has 28 years in the PEO and workers' comp industry. So welcome, Ben, and Diana, I think you're listening. Hopefully I'll do you justice. But I want to share first org chart that we have and on the screen. You'll see our Vice President of Client Experience is Annette Ginsberger. I'm happy to say she's also my VP. She heads up several people who make our workers' comp what it is. We have several claims examiners. Actually, we have a couple. Erica Fitzgerald works with Diana, and we do have our risk underwriters, Shelley Rubizovsky, Karen Ricketts, and then Sergio Martinez is a risk analyst, and then of course Ben. I'm actually Sandy Edelson. I'm an HR account manager. Each client with us has someone in my same title, and you can reach out to us as well. So we'll talk about that a little later. So if you have an employee who's injured on the job, you absolutely want to report it. Even if the employee says, no, not a big deal, you want to report it. And that's what we're going to talk about. One of the important things is that your employees understand some things about workers' comp. And you'll see that depicted on this slide. You would want them to know that an injury is covered under workers' comp when it's job related. And that means the injury must arise out of something in the employment during the course of employment. So the person is working on the job. They're not traveling to work. They may be traveling for work, and in that case, it would be a workers' comp injury. And there are fine details in there. We'll leave it at that for now. Diana will work with you if you do have that occur. But part of the process is that the workers' compensation adjuster needs to determine if the injury is compensable or not. And so telling your employees that might help open their eyes, because sometimes their claims will not be approved. It's rare. If somebody's hurt on the job, it's usually covered, but it's a good thing if people know it's not just a given. The employee also needs to know who to report the injuries to. And hopefully they do it promptly, as soon as it happens or as soon as possible. And I'm going to ask if you're on the call and your phone line is not muted, if you could do that. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, so that would be helpful. But the last thing here is it's very important that your employees know that the initial medical treatment absolutely has to be at a designated urgent care facility or hospital emergency department. And that depends upon the severity, of course. If it's life-threatening, You don't want to think about where's our list of urgent care facilities. You want to get that person to the nearest possible place that can help them. But normally the injury is something that is not that urgent, and they do need to go to one of the participating facilities. Diana works with you to provide you with that information. If you don't have it, she will gladly get that to you. And as I'm waiting for the next slide, there we go. So what do you do if there's an injury? The first thing is you want to pay attention to the injured employee. You want to do whatever you can at that moment to help them. And there's a fine line there because you're not medical. Even if you're in a doctor's office, you may or may not want to get too far in depth there. But certainly if you have a bandage that can stop bleeding, whatever you can do to help that person. You want to, hopefully the person is able to take themselves to a medical facility that's listed on your medical panel. And if they're not, by all means, you would either want to get them there yourself or perhaps a, sorry, just a moment, I'm trying to mute everyone. Perhaps an ambulance is needed, so there's some judgment call there. But you do want to give the employee that employer authorization for initial treatment form and a chain of custody form. And again, if it's life-threatening, if you have those things handy, that's great, grab them and go, get them to the employee. But if it's life-threatening, you know, use hopefully some common sense and take care of the employee first. But immediately, as soon as you can, get that authorization and the chain of custody in the employee's hands, because if they go to the approved facility, they probably will not be seen without that. And then again, if it's an acute injury, call 911. Don't even, you know, stop to think about anything, because that life is important. You want to take care of the employee as soon as possible. Okay, you're going to see these forms. Hopefully you have those. Definitely they're sent to you at some point in time. I'm not knowledgeable on that timing, but the form on the left is the authorization for initial treatment. You would want to fill out your portion. And if you have the chain of custody form that you use for pre-employment screening, you can use that same form. If you don't have that chain of custody, the clinic can use their standard form. So, you know, we have some flexibility there, but definitely that authorization form would have to be used for treatment. So once that happens, you need to report the injury, and you must do that as soon as possible. And that would be to our workers' comp claims department, but Diana directly, some of you have her email address. Your HR account manager, I've heard from many clients who don't remember who to contact, and we can connect you. But you do need to report it and get the ball rolling from the standpoint of having case management involved in all of the other aspects. So that, I don't even know how to say that acronym, but the employer's report of work-related injury or illness has to be to Diana or a risk team or your HR account manager within 24 hours. And we know sometimes that doesn't happen, but we really strive to get that within the 24-hour window. The supervisor, the manager, whomever is appropriate in your organization would gather the facts about the incident and complete that document. Details are important, including names of witnesses. And if you have any doubt or question about the injury, should I include it, shouldn't I, go ahead and document it. And then once that EROWI has been completed, you need to send that to Diana's, the work comp claims team. And we do show the fax number here, as well as the email address, wcclaims@alphastaff.com, or via fax to 866-632-6423. Even if the employee refuses medical care, as I was saying earlier, you need to report that injury. The employee may say, no, 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 don't file a workers' comp claim, don't do it, for whatever reason, but the answer is, sorry, we don't have a choice in the matter, we must file it. And nothing happens. If they don't seek care and they don't, a month later, have some kind of claim about it, then that's fine, no harm done. The form was completed, it was on record, and they didn't seek care, that's their choice. But as an employer, you need to protect yourself and really the employee and make sure that that document is filed. Once it's received, the injury is promptly reported to the workers' comp carrier, and there's a note there, and it is true, prompt reporting helps keep the overall claims costs down. The sooner that the case is active and we have claims adjusters working on it, it's in good hands and is managed versus an employee kind of doing their own thing, going to see doctors that may or may not be approved, and so on. So remember that reporting the injury is comes second to the safety of that employee getting the care, but you must do it. The EROWI, as you see, has a couple pages. The highlighted areas are what would be required. It's safe to say just read through the whole thing, fill out everything you possibly can. If you run into any questions, give your HR account manager or the workers' comp team a call and they can help you through that. Another document, the employee statement of acknowledgement, gives the employee some information about their responsibilities relative to this claim. So the manager or the supervisor really needs to review it with the employee. An informed employee is going to help this case go smoothly, and it's also something that you can fall back on, that you know that the manager will walk through the document with the employee. The employee must sign and date it, and the supervisor or the manager also must sign and date it. Then that completed and signed form needs to be sent, hopefully with the EROWI, that report of injury, if possible at the same time, but either way, just get them both in and we're good to go. So after a claim is filed, there's an adjuster that's assigned by the carrier, and every claim has its unique claim number. So that helps to refer back to a case. And you also, with that adjuster, it's almost like a case manager. You have someone who makes the initial contact with the manager, and if additional information is needed, they will get that. They'll share information as well. And if the employee is going to miss work for more than 3 days, there's another form that must be completed, and you should be familiar with this one. Some people call it the PATH form. It's the Personnel Action Form, and you would want to complete that and send it to your payroll specialist, your HR account manager, or the HR service center. Whichever you feel most comfortable, or your email address pops up with your payroll specialist, that's fine. Just one of us has to get that. So what happens with the claims examiner is they are there to monitor the adjuster's handling of the claim and assist you, the client, as well as us, and the adjuster with any issues that may arise relative to the claim. That could be a lawsuit or missing information, anything like that. Let's see, and I have to apologize, my screen is covered up here. I think that says other notifications. The family medical leave would run concurrent with workers' comp. And family medical leave, if you have 50 employees or more, you are under that regulation. Even if you fluctuate, if you ever hit 50, it's always a good idea to bring that up to your HR account manager, again, or your payroll specialist, or the HR service center. And the email is shown there. Very simple, hrsc@alphastaff.com. But when an employee misses 3 or more days, that action form is needed because we have to account for the absence, or we would advise you about the family medical leave so that we could get that happening as well. And if you have questions about the family medical leave, that's a whole nother ball of wax that your HR account manager can run through you. We also have a family medical leave coordinator, Linda Schmidt. You might have worked with her. We have quite a few people on the team available to walk you through all of these types of situations. So please use those services. So once an employee has seen the doctor and you know, what's going to happen now? Do they come back to work or don't they? And basically, the doctor will provide that information to the employee. And after every doctor's visit, the employee's responsibility, it's on them. They must hand that document from the treating physician to their supervisor or manager or whomever you designated. And it is multi-part, so the employee keeps a copy. That report would specify any restrictions or limitations and the employee's follow-up appointments. So it's a very important piece of paper, and it's a good thing to let your employees know about it so they can expect to get it and remember to give it to you. The employee also has to keep all of those appointments. Sometimes physical therapy is 3 times a week. They need to keep those appointments. It's all part of their getting better. So let them know that you're supporting that and they need to do that. At the end of a claim, once they've reached their full, and I can't recall the acronym, but once they've reached their full medical improvement, there's a return to work that the physician signs and says the employee is released to go back to work. And there may be times when there are physical restrictions. All of that kind of information is important to the employee because it's their responsibility to return to work. They may say, I didn't feel good, but if the doctor said return to work with or without restrictions, that's the employee's responsibility to do so. As the employer, you need to make every effort you can to accommodate any light duty restrictions. And those could be things like the person has a temporary office job or helps out with some kind of, light duty work that you might have, whether or not it's in their immediate workstation. And again, the claims adjuster and Diana are there to help guide you through what does that look like and think of things that would be appropriate. So the benefits, why do you do that? One, it helps the rehabilitation and the recovery. It also shows that you do care for the employee's well-being, and research shows that, I'm sure it's supported by research here, but the morale of the person is better. Sometimes people who are injured, and we're talking about those people who aren't abusing the system, but it can be a real mind-boggling experience because they can't do what they used to do, and it's frustrating. So keeping them active and feeling productive is very helpful. And it helps keep your workers' comp claims costs to a minimum. So to summarize, you definitely want to educate your employees. They need to know that all work-related injuries must be reported immediately to their supervisor or manager or any other authorized personnel you might give. And I'm seeing, Diana, it looks kind of like you are able to speak, and please feel free to jump in if you'd like to do that. I can't tell though if you do have access, but anyway,
Sandra,
so yes.
Okay, I had to call from my cell phone,
Hey,
so I
Diana.
apologize if it's choppy. I didn't know if it would work, but I guess
would you like to summarize, or would you like me to go ahead and finish?
Well, you're doing great. The biggest thing on the summary, the email, the WC claims, I just want to stress to all clients, that is the best email if you want to, need immediate response to something emergency, because that WC claims at AlphaStaff.com goes out to 3 different people in our unit. So if one of us is not at our desk or one's at lunch, at least somebody will get that email. It's just, if you can't remember anything else, just remember that WC claims at AlphaStaff. We will be able to get, it's the fastest way to get in touch with us and get a response back. The reporting is correct, as much information as possible, but if anything, if you don't have all the information, basically what we need is what happened, the name of the employee, you know, get us what information you do have so we can get it submitted to our carrier in order to get a claim set up so that treatment does not get delayed. I think that's the biggest issue is, you know, people need authorizations, but if we don't have a claim set up, we cannot get that process done because it has to be authorized by the adjuster. So even if you don't have all the information, submit what you have and then you can give us the information as you get it. Again, an employee may report to you a week or two later. Most state laws do not have, they have guidelines, but they're usually 3 months to a year to 2 years that an employee has the right to report a claim. That is not saying that it's going to be accepted, but the laws fall on the employer. Once you are notified of that claim, you are supposed to report it within 24 to 48 hours. So those, I think, where the confusion get, people report claims late and they think they're going to be penalized. No, as long as you were only made aware of that claim within 24 hours or 48 hours of notifying us, there's no penalty there. It's when the employee notifies the employer and the employer does not get the claim submitted. So those are just some things I want to clarify. They've come up a few times in the past couple of weeks. And again, what she said to summarize is make sure when you hire people, they are aware of the process, who they know to, you know, so there's no excuse of why I didn't know about reporting a claim. They should be clear on who to report it to. And then again, you should have a panel or a urgent care facility to send them to. Yeah, most states have a posted medical panel. If not, like I said, usually the closest urgent care. If it's life-threatening or they feel it's life-threatening, 911 or hospital.
Hey, Diana.
Yes.
I'm getting a lot of feedback, so I'll go ahead and finish this out if you'd like me to.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, so guys, technology at its finest. Ben is in one part of the country. He's going to be talking in a moment, and I'm in another, and Diana is south of me. So together, hopefully this will help you with your workers' comp injuries and what to do. I'm kind of a stickler for summaries, so just quickly, the injuries must be reported. Employees need to know. Direct them to the approved medical facility. Make sure they take that authorization for initial treatment with them. Make sure that within 24 hours that EROWI is completed. Like Diana said, use that email number or email address because 3 people are there and someone's sure to get it. Be sure to get that work status note from the employee after every single appointment. And continue to, communicate with the employee during the course of their claim. Don't ostracize them or any other way, retaliate or anything like that. But you definitely want to keep in the loop and keep things on track. And then make that effort to accommodate the claimant's light duty restrictions. We have come up with some very creative things. So reach out to our teams here. We can help. And then again, if the employee is going to miss more than 3 days, remember that PAF form. Send it to your HR account manager, payroll specialist, or the HR service center. So thanks, Diana, for jumping in there. We're now going to transition, hopefully, to Ben. If Ben, before we do that, we do have some numbers you may want to jot down. You'll see that workers' comp email address. You also see Ben's email address under Safety and Loss Control Department, and then the HR Service Center's numbers. And your HR account manager, hopefully you know who that is. And if for some reason you don't, please ask your payroll specialist because we're here to assist you. And Ben, I think that's your cue.
Excellent. Can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate your help today. I'd like to welcome everyone to the next segment of our presentation. And this is an overview of OSHA's new recording rule for electronic submission of injury and illness records. It was effective at the beginning of this year. Now, as you know, eligible employers were previously required to maintain their OSHA 300 log information and OSHA 300A summary sheet from February 1st through April 30th of the following year. And this has changed with the new ruling enacted as of January 1st, 2017. And as we see in the next slide, who's included in this? Well, establishments with 250 or more employees currently required to maintain OSHA records, and also establishments with 20 to 249 employees, certain industries with historically high rates of injury and illness. It should be noted that as of the date of this presentation, there are a number of OSHA-approved state plans that have not yet adopted the requirement to submit their injury and illness reports electronically. And those states are California, Maryland, Minnesota, South Carolina, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. Establishments in these states are not required to submit their summary data through the ITA, or injury tracking application. Also, state and local government establishments in Illinois, Maine, New Jersey, and New York are not currently required to submit their data to the ITA. And contact info is for each of the state plans can be found on the website. You can go into the www.osha.gov website. I know at the end of this presentation there's a thing that shows where you can get a copy of our presentation. So all of these websites we're throwing at you today, you can have a copy just by getting a copy of the presentation itself. Okay, moving to the next slide. The establishments that are covered, establishments with 250 or more employees must electronically submit their information from their OSHA Forms 300, the work injury and illness log, the 300A summary sheet, 301 injury and illness incident report. Establishments with 20 to 249 employees only need to present their Form 300A. Next slide. The effective dates on this, the requirement became available and effective on January 1st. So we're a little late getting started with things. The new reporting requirements will be phased in over the next 2 years. We're going to see some changes over the next 2 years, and this kind of describes a little bit of what we're going to see. In 2017, this year, all covered establishments must submit their information from their completed 2016 Form 300A. And let me say this and clear this up. For the 2016 filing year, no establishment is required to submit case data from Forms 300 or 301. So that means if you do have more than 250 employees, you still this year only need to submit the information from your 300A summary sheet. Now in 2018, covered establishments with 250 or more employees must submit information from all their completed 2017 Forms 300A, the 300 log, and the 301 form as well. And this needs to be in by July 1st of 2018. Also, covered establishments with 20 to 249 employees need to submit their 300A forms for 2017 by July 1st, 2018. But beginning in 2019, it's going to change. Every year after that, all the covered establishments need to submit their information by March 2nd. So we can see some changes are going forth here. And I know that this is something new. OSHA, we're all learning this for the first time, and as we go forward, they're going to find things that they're going to try to tweak a little bit within the next couple of years, so we need to stay in tune with the updates that are on their website. The next slide, OSHA's website access. OSHA's provided a secure website, finally, that offers these options for data submission. It took them a while to do it. At first, the users are able to manually enter the date into web form. And secondly, the users will be able to upload the CSV file to process single or multiple establishments at the same time. The CSV is a comma-separated value file, and that means if you have something you need to present, like you have multiple locations in different states, and it's 249 East 2nd Street, comma, St. Petersburg. You can do that with this CSV file. If you need something in parentheses, you can parenthesize it. This file allows you to do that. So it makes it easier for the person to use. It's filling out these forms online, and it makes it clear for the people at the establishment to understand it better. And lastly, users of automated record-keeping systems have the ability to transmit data electronically through the application program interface. Now, OSHA will be providing updates as related information becomes available. I know they're going to change some things. And in the next slide, injury tracking application coming up. The next slide, there we go. If you go to OSHA's website, OSHA.gov injury reporting, when you click on that, you're going to get a host of things to click onto. And I want you to focus on looking at record-keeping injury tracking application. That will bring you into the page you need to launch your ITA. At the bottom of this slide, your little, it's a screenshot basically of the page I'm talking about. It may be difficult to see in the slide, but on the right-hand side near the top, there's a blue tag there. And if you bring up the website, you'll see it's a click onto the Launch ITA. And this is to provide your OSHA information from your 2016 OSHA Form 300A. You need to log into that and create your account on the injury tracking app. People I've talked to that have done this already, it takes about 10 minutes to do it. It's not that hard. It just gives you the basic information you have to put in about your company and what you're doing. And once you're logged in, then you've got a way to get into it and start filing your information. OSHA published a notice of the proposed rulemaking, and the deadline was started out to be July 1st. Well, they didn't have the website up and running in time to get this done by July 1st, so they extended the date to December 1st. And all this information we need to do before December 1st. So I encourage all of you, if you've done it already, please get your information up and running and filed in that system before December 1st. Here we are nearly in the middle of October, and time goes quickly. Next slide. As you look at that page, this is another snapshot of what you'll see. A lot of different things you can look at. You can go into any one of these links and look at what you have as far as question and answer, how to do things. You can view the CSV for instructions. You can download a template file. You can download a sample file. Looking at your 300A summary sheet data, what you need to do there, getting started in the ITA. All these things are help tabs that you can click onto that bring up exactly what you're going to see inside that screen when you get into the system. But it shows you what to look for and how to do it, gives you the instructions. It also has a segment on question and answer. So I know it's confusing at first for a lot of people to try to get something going, but truly they have answered a lot of the questions on this page and provide the information you need. Next slide. In summary, if you go on that website, injury reporting, as I said, it provides the frequently asked questions and answers. And the reminder is, please get this done before December 1st. The most crucial thing I can give you in the information today is this. If you don't have somebody dedicated in the company to maintain your OSHA record keeping, you need to get it done as soon as possible. Somebody needs to be dedicated to maintain this information. Just because we're reporting electronically online does not mean you still don't have to take care of maintaining all your record keeping information in-house. Keep in mind, if OSHA were to walk into your facility today, one of the first questions they're going to ask is to see your record keeping data. And if it's not up to date within 7 days of occurrence of a work injury, you're going to be in violation and could be cited. So it's important to have somebody dedicated to maintain your injury and illness log in-house and be able to maintain it throughout the year. So at the time to upload it into the system, it's an easy job. It's really easy to get it set up. So are there any questions at this point? Next slide.
So I don't see any questions in our Q&A, so I'll jump in. And if you do have questions, this is a great time to get them answered. But if not, you will have the opportunity to get a copy of the presentation and contact us either through the HR Service Center as shown on the screen, or again, your HR account manager. And we can answer those questions. We can connect you with Ben or Diana, or you can email either of them directly as well. So want to thank you for joining today. And please mark your calendars. The next webinar, November 9th, should be somewhat different. It's talking about benefits of humor in the workplace, so we may actually have some fun. It's interesting to note that 91% of executives think that a sense of humor is important for career advancement, and 84% of people feel that those working with a good sense of humor actually do a better job. So whether that's real or not, it's fun and it helps us kind of relax. There's a lot of stress going on in our jobs and in the world today. So please make it, you know, a certainty that you're going to attend, and you may want your employees to join that as well. And I do see someone asking, can that invite be mailed to me? We do send our marketing team sends out an email to all of our clients with each webinar, and they send them a couple of times. So you will be getting that, but I will go ahead and make a note of your email. Actually, you would need to, it's Jennifer Jones. I'm sorry, I don't see your email address. So you may want to go ahead and email the HR Service Center, and we can get that to you. So please join us next time. And until then, thanks so much and have a great day.